Welcome back to Film Study in the All American Universe podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. I know it's been a while. I needed just a little bit of a break, and so much has happened. The actors are on strike as well as the writers, and I'll talk about that later. But right now, here is the second part to the Jordayla season 5 breakdown with Carmen and Kaya. Hope that you enjoy it. Here it is. But we do have to quickly break down all of the other stuff that happened this season
Carmen, it's the
before
fact that she keeps
the
reminding us
proposal.
quickly, quickly.
That's also a reminder for myself. 508 feels so good. We have just
Mm.
ended on Jordan telling Layla that he's thinking about transferring, right? The plot twist. And Layla going to Atlanta for a little visit, having some conversations with Simone. And now they are back and they have missed each other very much
It was a
because
long
they're just
time.
making out. They're just making out in Layla's new office that used to be Billy's office. He is still alive at this time.
Mm.
It's actually his birthday. His last birthday,
His
y'all.
last birthday.
His last birthday. And so they're making out in the office, and they're talking about being risky, right? Because they're literally in the Baker house. Anybody could walk up, which Liv eventually does. Anybody could walk up and they're just like making out. And it's so funny because Jordan's just like, oh, if it's so risky, then stop kissing me, right? And she's like, oh, you know better than to challenge me. And they like attempt to talk about their trips and, oh, how was your trip? And Jordan says that famous like, oh, um I can't go like 24 hours without talking to you. Guess what, Kaya? Do you want to know why they were kissing so often? I'm really proud of this joke. I'm really proud of this
I
joke.
was like,
She
oh, what
kissed
am I
him
missing?
6 days
Shut up.
ago. She kissed him 6 days ago. She can't go weeks anymore. She kissed him
6 days
6 days
ago.
ago. Anyway, Liv jumps in, sees them. How did Liv not see them? I'm
We
still
not even talk
Look,
about that.
okay.
Liv ain't see
okay.
nothing.
At first, I was like,
Liv got
oh
special
no.
shades
But Lexi
on.
has brought it up so many times. I'm like, wait. I'm like, hold up, wait, you might be right.
It's just so annoying. Like, ugh, it's just I'm just going with the fact that she saw something everybody knew about them. I'm just telling myself that story.
Because that's the only way you can live with that. Yeah, I know.
Because that's the only
I'm
way I
just
could
living in
live with
denial.
the way that yeah. Yeah. So sees
I try to
them
find a way to live with Liv.
Wait, what?
what did you say?
I say you gotta find a way to live with Liv.
Please. So sees them, they're trying to like hide the fact obviously that they're together. And Liv ends up asking Layla about Simone. Did she see Simone on the trip in Atlanta? And Layla's just like, oh yeah, so a couple of times. Da, da, da. Jordan leaves and comes back, and she's just like, oh, back from a risk. And he's just like, actually, I'm here because I want to know what went down at Brixton, honey.
Curiosity one.
My favorite part about that scene
Is it
is
her
when he
look?
first walks in and she goes,
It's my favorite part too.
she goes to kiss him, and then he like backs
Yes.
away. She's like,
She
oh,
does the,
it's the look and the little
best
hand gesture. Oh.
the best part of that whole scene.
Best part of the scene, man. So when Jordan sort of is just like, no, I want to talk about Atlanta, you know, Layla goes, oh, I said it was fine, and then he talks about the fact that she had a, you're not fine look, and she was like, I don't have a not fine look, and he didn't even have to say anything because first of all, we've seen Jordan. understand her looks and her specifically her not fine look before they even started dating, like way back
Yep.
in, honestly, if we're being real, season 2, if we're being real.
He knows Layla.
He knows Layla. And
Sometimes
how
I
many
don't know about
facial
way back in
expressions?
season 2 because he said she was okay when she wasn't. So
Well,
I
I
don't know
meant the
what else y'all
cotillion.
met.
The
Oh,
cotilion's
okay.
not going to come to you, is it? That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I say you asking me? I don't know. Like, what's okay? Okay, continue.
You
You're quoting
asking
a line. I'm like, what do you mean? Come to me. What are you talking
I'm
about?
so
Okay,
done.
gotcha.
No, no, no. I was quoting a line when he's like, "The cotillion's not going to come to you," and then again in season 3 when he said, "How did things go with Liv?" and that whole thing. Oh, so he mentions that she has 8 facial expressions, but he asks her not to dodge the conversation about Simone, and so they have a conversation about the fact that Layla had some conversations with her and essentially told Simone that they were together, and Jordan was, upset and clapped in her face and said, "She was my
Just like his
wife.
daddy.
She was my
Ooh,
wife." Um,
Well, Small wasn't just my friend, Layla. She
and
was my
then
wife. Like, my man's.
uh,
you mean the one you just said? The marriage that didn't have
Girl,
like that's
that's exactly
it.
why I did not take him
Okay,
serious. I said, y'all just had my man talking about what wedding? Like,
exactly.
literally, can I? The funny part about this is that this whole conversation felt forced from the beginning for me, because and contrived, because I just do not buy that Layla went all the way to Atlanta. First of all, that they hadn't spoken in what was it, 6 days? That they hadn't spoken in 6 days, given even last season, even last season when he was visiting Atlanta, right? She was calling him on the phone. So I just do not buy that they've just not been speaking for 6 days, that she didn't tell him at all that she went to Princeton. And so this argument was a little, for their first
Lexi
argument,
said
it
it's
was
a
a little
lie.
hard for me
Lexi said it's a
to buy
lie.
it,
into.
no, see,
It's
you know
hard for
what
me
I
to buy
took it
into.
Unnecessary.
as? Because I'm pretty sure they, like, supposedly spoke over the 6 days. They just hadn't seen each other. But I feel like they were trying to make it seem like she went to Brixton. He knew she was going. Um, to Brixton? Was it to Brixton? Yeah. I feel like he knew she was going to Brixton, but they tried to make it seem like he just assumed she wouldn't speak to Simone, I guess, given their situation. No, that's not believable at all. Like,
Oh, see, and I think that they were trying to set up that they actually hadn't
at all?
spoken
In
in a
six
couple of
days?
days. Yeah, in a couple. But that's what I'm saying. It's
Ain't
hard to
no way.
believe, but this is
Ain't
the
no way.
lines. The lines said that they hadn't spoken in six
She
days
said
and that she didn't
I thought
tell
it
him
just
at
said
all
they
that
didn't
she was
see
going to
each other in
Princeton.
6 days.
No, he said I can't go 6 days without speaking to you.
Oh my gosh.
don't ask me. Y'all know
I'm
I don't
so
remember nothing.
Don't- yeah. So
I don't know
anyway,
line from line.
the whole argument's initial premise was on faulty ground because of that issue. But clapped in her face. So I owed her a conversation, woman to woman. No, you didn't, girl.
she really did.
But anyway,
Oh my god.
I mean, if she feels she did, then she feels she did. But I owed her a conversation,
Yes, she
woman,
did.
It's
woman
like,
to
no, she
She
did
woman.
not. Get out of here.
definitely
It's the apology letters all over
she
again.
did. She had to tell her. She had to say, "Look, I'm about to take my man back. Okay, I loaned him for a little bit because we both were tripping, but
I think, listen, yeah, we're not gonna get into the whole Brixton of it all, because for real, but you know, regardless, is when Layla said that she was my friend, Jordan got really upset and said, "Well, she was my wife." Um, First of all, knowing that this was a challenging scene for Greta because she was trying not to laugh at Michael as Jordan saying, "Well,
Because it's
she was my
insane.
wife,"
Like, who wrote that?
because that is a wild thing to say. Which we, by the way, have a question about that. We'll address it, but very wild thing to say to your girlfriend. Um, I just think that this whole conversation is hilarious. But the second part that I think is overlooked is that he actually corrects himself, and he says, "My point is that I should have a say in who tells her and when, and we should be making these decisions together as a
Mm-hmm.
team." Um, and then they have this whole like, "Oh, but I'm so glad you had to clear your conscience." He was so upset. Jordan, calm down, calm down, calm down.
I was waiting
So
on you to do somebody's voice, or attempt to do their voice.
you know it's coming. You know it's coming.
Yep.
Um, but they were both in the next couple of scenes. We could tell that they were both
They were
upset from this
sick.
this argument that they had because they were sick because it was their first fight. And then as also Layla gets up and says, Jordan was the pretty one, right, in
Mm-hmm.
her speech at Billy's birthday. And they really still haven't talked besides that little I'm acknowledging you that you were pretty when we were younger. But then when Laura does her 10 things I hate about you speech, and also the amount of times I went back and noticed some things because Laura said in her speech, "Oh, when Billy proposed to me, it literally flashes to Jordan and Layla. It cuts to Jordan and Layla. And she's like, "Oh, he said he listed the 10 things I love about you." But then she goes on to give her speech, and she's just like, "Most of all, I don't hate anything about you. I'd rather fight with you than love anyone else." And that's when like Layla grabs, Jordan's hand. Jordan covers his heart, all that good stuff. And then they talk about, "I actually can't go. I take it back. Those were the longest 6 hours of my life."
Yep.
And Layla says, "Sorry, I went to Simone without telling you first. We're
Right?
a
She
team." And I
apologized.
said, "Layla, why
I
did you
think that was
apologize
the
first?"
wait. I think was that the moment you pointed out that she rather
Yeah, I
um
think that was the first moment that I pointed out that they would rather be at peace than correct, because I was very frustrated that Layla
See,
apologized first after he clapped in her face. Even though I thought that there was merit to Jordan's argument, still clapping in my face and saying, "Oh, well, she was my white girl. That's not what you said to me." I just
I didn't mind it because my
you got a wife now. Oh, she a wife?
exactly. Now you got a wife. I thought the wedding didn't happen. Like that's me, because that's what I would be on. But Layla was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I went to Simone without telling you."
look, Jordan's not the one to like eat it up. So the simple fact that he was like, "Oh no, no, no," and he was apologizing too, it made up for it.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it. They literally went back and forth with the apologies, right? Because he was just like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Um, I have no say in how you choose to move forward in your friendship," which I think was very, you know, for Layla's argument, like I owed her a conversation woman to woman and bringing that aspect. The fact that Jordan heard that and heard that very like, "This not even about you, boy, bye." I mean, it's a little bit about you, but it's not even about you, boy, bye. And he was just like, "I accept that." I accept that, right? Knowing his woman is who his woman is. He was just like, I don't got no say in that. I don't got no say in that. But he was just like, "Yeah, I don't have any say in how you choose to move forward in your friendship." And then they decide that, whatever comes after this, we're gonna face it together
Together.
as a team. So, what did y'all think about 508 in their first fight as they resolved it?
I mean, I could have used a juicier fight. That wasn't like a fight, but I feel like for Jordayla and how put together their relationship is for the most part, like I'll take it for what they gave. But yeah, I just blocked it all out because my man was lying to us. Like that's look. If y'all gonna get my first official fight,
I
give me
I
some juicy stuff.
I would have preferred the fight would have been about something else as well. I just don't think that this or if it had manifested itself in a different way, I just didn't buy that they weren't speaking to each other during this period and that she would keep this from him. I
That
don't
because
think
if
that she
he
would keep
really
that
did
from
say they
him.
didn't speak for 6 days, come on, this whole thing makes no sense. Like,
Makes zero sense. This is the episode where Jordan is spiraling a lot because he's keeping this secret about his dad wanting to coach at GAU and accepting the GAU coaching position, and also keeping the secret of his relationship with Layla, which we already know is not his preference,
yeah,
to
man's
keep
been
that from
stressed
his
about that.
family and his friends. He has been stressed about that. Um, but so he's talking through all of this with Layla. And he pulls his Billy and he's like, the Santa
Oh
Anas
my
are a bad omen.
gosh.
And it's like and she's just like talking him through these things, and she's just like, oh, it's not perfect, but it's not ominous, right? And he keeps saying this in the midst of telling her his thought process. He keeps saying, like, I have two really great things going on in my life right now, right? Like, the best parts of my life. And my girl is
Yes, she is.
cheesing away.
Trying to do the little
As
small
she
head turn to
should,
hide
as
it.
she
Girl, we
should.
see you.
One one thing Jordan is gonna do is make sure Layla know how important she is to him.
Period. Period. And it's so funny because it's like in the midst of her trying to calm him down, also trying to make sure that he doesn't mess up her mixing table. That is my favorite, like, Greta the moment that she added on as Layla is like Jordan sitting down and she's like, wait, did he mess up the notes? But yeah, so she's just smiling to herself, and he actually thinks that she's laughing at him, and she's like, "Oh, what? Why are you laughing?" And she's just like, "I'm not laughing.
I'm smiling.
I'm smiling.
Okay, girl.
I'm smiling." I just, I just like hearing that I'm one of the best parts of your life. That's the way she says it.
Only Jor gets that voice.
Only Jor gets that voice. Carmen, what do you think about Layla smiling and loving the fact that he was calling her one of the best parts of his life before he corrected her?
Oh, sis was gone. She was gone. Like
A
she was
bird.
gone. Like that was life to her. Like like
It
her
really was
boo.
life to her. Like, I remember watching that in real time and being like, Layla, I didn't know it was possible for you to be even more down bad, and yet here we are.
What? She's so she like she can't go down no
Yeah, she
more.
can.
That's it. Like
I mean, apparently she can because she said
Yeah,
yes to
she
his
can.
proposal.
she was already once again they was already married. I'm gonna discretion.
That's, I
Like
mean,
she's
correct.
down. She's down. Like the fact that she said yes tell you she's down because
That
like you
that
got to really love Jordan Baker to marry Jordan Baker. Like
it's so
that's my
true.
boy. But I'm just
Even just to
saying.
like smile as he's being like wild, right? It's just like, oh, it's a bad omen. Oh, but you're one of the best parts of my life. Like giggling in the corner, please.
That's why I say she was already down bad. Like you said episode
She was
before where
very
it's
down
like
bad.
well it's like she apologized even when he's wrong. Like the girl is
As
gone.
she
Like
should be.
so he just lit her world when he told her that.
Literally. And then even more so, right, when he said, hold on. You're not one of the best parts of my life. You are
The best part of
The
my
best
life. We know,
the
Jor. Spit
best
them
part of
biblical
my life.
words.
Which, listen, that's
The.
Jordan is coming to understand what we already understood way back during 418.
Oh my gosh, a lifetime ago.
You are the most important.
No one else, nothing else.
nothing. Not his mama, not his sister.
You are
No one.
She trumped all that.
no. Not even the fact that his dad has died.
Like nothing.
Not you gonna bring Billy. I'm dead.
We're getting to
My
that.
man's his
We're
daddy was over there dead, not even cold yet under there, and my man was over there skipping away to his woman, yo. He said,
All he
"Hold on,
needed is love.
jambalaya."
All he needed in his life
He
to
hold up,
find Layla.
jambalaya. I'll be back. My woman just came downstairs.
so because I was cracking up when I had to like summarize that part. Um but yeah, so you're the best part of my life. She gives him some good advice about not, staying out of it in terms of getting it
Oh,
in the
she
middle
always
with
be giving him good
Spencer and
advice.
Biller. The excellent advice, excellent advice. And then Spencer deduces, right, that they're together because it's like some interesting opinions on the transfer portal. Like that was a stupidest excuse. And again, one of the things is that Jordan and Layla become idiots when they're about to be found out, between them laughing at Liv's joke when she came in to now them
Oh,
talking
that was
about,
so
oh,
terrible.
Layla, some it's just a good opinions of the transfer portal. It's just like they can't they can't be normal. They
Even
cannot
the
be
oh,
normal.
Jordan, you're so slow.
And Jordan's so slow. He's around. He's around. And let's keep the liar count because what did she tell Liv? She said, "Oh, he was here helping me move some boxes," which was
Yes.
probably the truth. So switching to 510. And this is after, Spencer finds out, and Jordan has this whole speech, right?
Mhm.
And says Jordan says, "She's amazing, Spence," right? He had a speech for Spencer, right? We
Yeah,
wanted to figure out what we were, blah blah blah. She's amazing.
with the
Um,
smile.
with the smile. I don't know how you ever let her go.
Oh my gosh. Shut up.
It's just so funny. He was acting like he was finna say that after it. So shifting into 510, which is OPP, they're good, they're solid. Spencer knows knows about them. In fact, he is going through this is still the midst of his struggle with Billy. And so he asked Jordan, after he found out that Jordan already knew about it, or he suspects that Jordan knew about Billy becoming the coach at GAU. That he's just like, so Layla and young love is the only reason you're staying, right, Jordan? And Jordan's like, yeah, yeah. That's the only reason. Um, but other than that, they come up with this auction to help Jamie. There were some really interesting, I feel like, plot points that just were random. Like Jamie's in the hospital. Jamie needs help with some bills.
Yeah.
Let's have an auction.
Jamie became part of the circle really quickly.
She did. It was the fact that she,
As
because
she
it was
should.
actually, it was at Billy's birthday party, right? Is
Mhm.
when she had the health scare. So now we're back to checking up on Jamie after not seeing her in that middle episode. Jordan and Layla together but separately come up with this idea to have an auction after they have the whole conversation about the conjugal visits and the honey buns. And Layla comes up with the dollars for dude auction to sell off dates with the guys, to raise money to pay for Jamie's hospital bills. And it's what's funny about this conversation is that they're still not public, and Spencer isn't even in this conversation, so nobody in this conversation knows that they're together, and it's just Asher and Liv. And Jordan and Layla are sort of having this whole exchange happen when Layla's giving this idea for the auction. What if the guy has a girlfriend? She's like, nothing illegal or sexual.
I'm so not the voice too.
It's always the voice. It's always the voice. But that, you can, and this was for Liv too, right? But so you can go on a date even if the guy has a girlfriend. But right after she does that, and she's really excited, and she makes a poster, right, and makes essentially makes him say that he loves the name Dollars for Dudes. um
Legit, she did.
Also, this was I should note that this is the first time he called her babe.
Hmm.
It's great, babe. It's great, babe.
I was so against it at first, and then it grew
I
on
mean,
me. It grew on me.
insane.
The second time I heard it, I said, "Oh no, I'll take it."
Literally. Okay. And the funny thing about this is we're talking about her smiling when when he said you're like one of the best parts of my life. But her just smiling at him saying, "It's great, babe." Like, stand up. Stand up.
Leave her alone.
I'm tired of this girl. Like, why are you smiling over that?
Oh my god!
Don't even go.
I already told you I accepted the babe.
I accepted the. So you said you essentially were just like, see, I was also enthralled with the babe, just like Layla
No,
was. Is
actually, the
basically what
first
you're saying.
time I said, "Ew, no, why would they do that? That's disgusting. I'm not
No, I
taking it."
know, but then it grew,
And
but and then you had the
then,
same reaction. You had the same reaction she did, where she was just like, he called me babe.
you know, I think in that for that episode though, I kind of still don't accept it in the same way. But like, I I don't take it. I don't accept hearing it in that circumstance. But the one going forward, I take it. I feel like it also just was kind of off with how they threw it in there for that conversation.
But I don't know. She seemed pretty happy about it.
I mean, she
She seemed
was,
pretty
but
happy
like,
about it.
did you like it for that first time?
Um, it's Jordayla.
She's like,
Exactly.
I accept
I like
everything
everything. Exactly. I like everything,
Everything,
Jordayla.
everything.
No, I did not accept it. I did not like it at the
Why?
time.
because it was
Um,
used for
because
someone else.
Bay? Really? Bay? If that
Girl, that's why I wasn't accepting it.
exactly, yeah. And also, pet names are just like weird
We were legit trying to
to
sit there
me.
and
until
think of good
Jordayla used
ones.
them.
Like,
We couldn't think of. I think it was after
yeah,
this
it was
episode or
after.
before. No, it was before this episode.
I think we came with like two that actually sounded okay.
Yeah, it's just like they're just pet names are cringe, but now I love them after freaking later on
Jordayla.
in the season.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
also because
Jordayla,
they
exactly.
ease more into saying it, so it sounds nice.
Yeah, yeah. This was their first trial. Let me toss it out there. He
He said,
I think she was just like, "Oh, she likes this. I'm gonna keep doing it."
Different face. Let me try and see how she like it.
Exactly, exactly. Let me see how she likes this little pet name that I'm about to throw. Why
Have
are
you
we
This,
seen?
talking about pet names
I,
this long?
to
Anyway,
me,
this
to
whole this
me,
whole pet
if
name I'm
he
gonna
was to,
recycle.
it's to me like the babe thing wasn't like so much of a like recycle. But now if he say something like sweetheart, then I have a
Ew,
problem.
no, get that
oh
out of here.
stop. Well, that's one of the things I didn't bring this up when we were talking about it, but one of the things is I feel like Jordan was always playing a role when he was with Simone, even down to their pet names. And it's funny because
Sweetheart,
as
sweetheart.
he exactly, sweetheart,
It
wait,
was
sweetheart,
forced.
yeah.
That's what happens when
And
it's
so
forced.
that's what happens with its force. And I think with as we got later on in this season, and we started to hear their pet names for each other, it did even the pet names didn't feel forced. Like, even Babe grew on me because it matches them, and it matches just the ease of their nature versus
Mhm, mhm.
oh my gosh, please. Anyway, so this episode was essentially about, besides the pet names, it's about them also having another small little challenge, right? Because in the midst of this conversation with the Dollars for Dudes, Clay walks in, says some sideways stuff to Layla. Jordan stands up real quick.
He plays no games.
Really no game. Stood up real quick to get in between the two of them when Clay was coming at her. And Clay walks out, he's going after him, and Layla's like, Where you go? Where are you going? And, he's like, to handle this man. And she's like, nah, I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself.
Yes, she
Um,
did.
it's giving Kaya, it's giving, you ripping up my lady letter?
What I'm
You're
missing. You can't do
so I'm
insiders.
so weak.
Carmen, you were there when she said this. It's when we were answering questions and people asked us if Clay was going to be a threat, and we all agreed that he was not going to be a threat. And if anything, that it would just be about, like, him knowing how to, like, control himself, because the business aspect of it for Layla. And that's what it ended up being. But it's so funny. She's when Gaia said, "Oh, you ripping up my lady," for, like, Jordan being annoyed because he's not jealous, but he finna stand
He's
up for his
annoying. Yeah, he
girl.
ready
He
to
gonna
fight. You
stick
know, Jordan is
beside.
always ready to throw hands.
Stand up for his girl. And
I'm
so,
surprised they didn't let Jordan hit Clay. Like, I guess they needed later to handle it because Jordan ain't never scared to swing.
well, and what do we think about that? Because Layla knows who Jordan is. And, in the next scene, Jordan says, "I'd really wish you'd let me handle him." And, she's just like, "Oh, and I really wish you would drop it."
That's
So
so good.
I really wish you would drop it. And he seems so hurt, but Layla knows Jordan knows he's a hothead. Um, and it makes sense from her perspective, but it was also so interesting that she was so, I think, staunch about asking him to stop, because she knows that he is pretty much a hothead. So what did y'all think about her essentially, like, asking Jordan to stay out of it?
I do feel like because it's her business, so I feel like she knows that she can handle it on her own, as she has been doing this whole time. Um, but I also, at the same time, I don't feel like Jor would throw hands with Clay because he also knows that this is her business. I think it's more so just like making his presence known. And he would prefer for the dude to know that this is his woman, because at this point, Clay has like little inklings or whatever feelings, but he hasn't outright said, "This is my girl, the true love of my life." Like, you're not going to disrespect her in that way. But I don't think he'll like actually throw hands with him out of respect for it being Lily's job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he might push him a little bit. He might not
He'll
punch him
probably
in
give
the
like a
face. He
shove,
might
but he's not
just,
going to
Yeah,
knock him out.
I don't know
yeah,
what Kaya. I don't
he
know
gonna
what
give a
Kaya
shove.
talk
What
about.
you talking
Jordan to
about?
punch him and then
He's not
apologize.
gonna punch him.
I think that he would, like, push him, maybe push him to the ground.
That's
I
how
don't
he
know if he would
always
punch
start
him.
off. He push people, then he punch
Nah,
them. That's what he do.
That's
he
true.
do it to
We're saying, so
friends.
that's what Layla knew, right? She knew that it wouldn't just stop at the shove. Knew it was gonna
Yeah,
escalate. So
she
she
knew.
was like, no.
And you gotta also remember it's who Layla is. Like she literally been taking care of herself since forever. So like, she appreciate him, but at the same time, she got it.
Well, and it's interesting because he's struggling with this. Talks about it with Denise. One of my favorite
I forgot about that.
conversations. And the two lines that are just take me out each time. I think somebody on Twitter pointed this out to me. But the fact that, Denise is talking to Jordan, who tells her all of the tea, like all of the tea. We came in at the end of their conversation, but he told her after
Most
this whole story.
definitely, because she ain't gonna say nothing to his people.
Exactly. And but she ends this and she's just like, Layla's your queen. And go ahead. Like, what?
Yep.
It takes me out. Everybody needs to go back to that clip and how quickly Jordan just is like, yeah, what else? I know this.
He like, I know this. What else would you like to tell me? What else?
Exactly. But so she tells him, so you now need to be a king and not a knight. You gotta stand beside her. Um, and so as she and Clay are figuring things out, working things out. Um, then he goes and says to Clay, like, we both know that Layla can handle herself, but I would not be a good friend
The
if I
pause.
didn't say, I know, a good friend if I didn't say something. And essentially told him disagree with respect or they are going to have a problem. Which I personally love that Jordan said it like that because he was just like, don't get it quiz. I will clap you now.
Like I
I
like
will clap
listen.
you.
He like listen. I respect for her. I'ma handle it this way, but don't get it twisted. Don't make
He was
you
just
know.
like, you got one more time and she
Don't
not
make me go walk around
she
Crenshaw and come
I'm
back.
so done.
exactly. Don't make me get a little
Get
thug
some
in me.
trust.
Okay, don't
What?
make me get a little thug in me.
Go sniff my daddy clothes real quick.
Please. Don't make me walk that block now.
Go put
That
on one of them Billy
sweater.
Baker
Right,
jogger
go put
suits.
that tracksuit on real quick.
I'm at the tracks.
Shoot.
And so anyway, so he says that to Clay. Clay walks out, and Layla then says, "You know, what part of I don't need saving? Don't you understand?" And then he goes on the spiral, and he's just like, I wasn't saving you. I was supporting you, right? And I'm not gonna let anybody disrespect you. But if that's a deal breaker for you,
Such a cute moment.
he's always going to the extreme end of like what's going on. If that's a deal breaker, what did he say before in five?
Are
Ship a
we the
secret
secret
or
or
am
am
I
I
the
the
secret?
secret?
I'm the
I was
secret.
like, okay, Mr. Drama. Like,
Y'all don't get off. All right, not too much. Not too much.
But
Y'all know
listen,
Jordan.
Layla said the
We
same
know he
thing.
throw. We
She
know
said,
he throw.
"Don't
We
get
know
so
he throw fit.
dramatic."
look, I live for it, Carmen.
I'm
I
about
live
to
for
say
it.
she know her man. She know her man dramatic. We know Jordan throw fits.
That's
We
why
know
she
he
just
throw
laughed it
tantrums.
off.
Yes,
Literally.
she
And
gonna
so
stick
anyway,
beside him.
she's gonna stick beside him, and she was just like and it's so funny the way that she instantly went from like, oh, what part of I don't need saving to stop being so dramatic. Da-da-da. You're a really good friend. Let me kiss you now. Both of them are unserious. Both of them are unserious. But we do love the evolution of you're a really good friend. You're a really good friend. Um, and so that's how they end. That's how they end 5-10. By the way, Spencer has a little line at the end of that episode where he's just like, "Y'all two
Hmm.
so obvious," and I'm like,
Look at the
"Exactly. I
looks
don't know
they
why
were
you didn't
given.
notice
Oh
it."
my
Like you need to go talk
gosh.
to Liv. What was Liv doing the whole time?
Uh, don't even because this is about to this is about to
It's the
make me
fact that
mad
he was like,
because obviously
wait, it's the fact that he's like, y'all two so obvious. Was he the only one just looking at them? They're trying to make it seem like everyone else had already started walking over to Jamie. I don't believe it.
That mystic. Yep.
that's what I'm saying, and
They
also
said what they
it's
said.
they said what they said. But it's so funny because he did say, like, I don't know how I didn't notice this before. And I'm like, exactly, because you were standing at a table with them before
Hmm.
you went to have that little
Most
conversation with Liv in
definitely.
503. And that was
Most
before
definitely.
she cast out 6 weeks
6 weeks ago. Too long.
too long. So apparently JJ and Spencer are the only people that know about them according to the show. According to the show. Um And then we get to Time, which is the episode that Billy died.
R.I.P. Thank you.
And R.I.P. Billy. But before he died, right, we get this little recognition from him at breakfast, at the Baker breakfast, that maybe he knows something about Jordan and Layla that the rest of the table doesn't know.
Hmm.
Because, Jordan goes, oh, why didn't she make this recipe for me, which Liv had made for the family? Uh, and she said, Sam is so funny as Liv. Why would Layla make you breakfast? why, why would Layla make you breakfast? With the face. You know what facial expression I'm
Girl, I
talking
just
about
watched that
too.
episode today.
And then Billy's face in response to
Yes.
that. The so
His third to last bite.
his shut I hate you so much. Oh my gosh. His third to last Billy's last breakfast. The last time he had a recognition of something.
Oh my gosh. The last time he gave
Oh
his
my
blessing.
goodness.
My poor Billy.
The last time he gave his
It was a good one too.
I'm sprinkled. I'm sprinkled. They sprinkled me in.
And now, Kaya and I are Layla. Like, Carmen, calm down. You're in the
No,
podcast.
I'm
We can hear you.
sprinkled. I'm a little
I'm
here, a little there.
Girl.
I'm a little here, a little there. Well, you know who is always a little there, as in not present in Layla's life? Her
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 daddy.
daddy,
transitions be
JP, JP.
JP.
Papa
Well, I was about to call this
Kitty.
Um,
man JP. Why was I about to say JP and Morgan?
Girl.
please, not JP Morgan.
That's a whole bank.
Not JP Morgan.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, but I just think that it's interesting that one of the first things that Layla said to her dad in this episode was, I can tell you're upset, but can I hug you at least? I haven't seen you in months. What?
That man is always MIA.
If it's one thing he know how to do, it's go ghost.
And I swear, the
It's go
second
Leave.
ghost.
JP is more absent than the first.
And let's talk about, because we've already talked about the proposal and the use of I'm home. But even now that her dad is sort of back up, and I think this is the first time we've seen him all season. Um, the
Exactly. He
fact that
wasn't
she
in the
told
first
this
one.
man, yeah, the fact that she told this man in season 4, actually not season 4, it's season 2, I don't have a home.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a place where I feel
Feel safe.
safe.
I knew she was gonna do it.
You know that she love to say
Oh
that one. And
my
it's because the
gosh.
Bakers is her real family.
Yes.
Because the Bakers are her
Yep,
real
I
family.
knew it.
Well, I was just saying that because you said it. I was actually just gonna say that Jordan is her home. So just like she is his home,
She done fired the rest of the
Jordan.
Bakers. She done fired.
I mean, let's be real, she kind of did. They're still her home. It's just in a lesser way.
They're just they're the sidewalk. He's
Yo.
the home.
They're not the sidewalk. They're still a part of the foundation of it.
Yeah,
But
the
the
sidewalk.
They're home.
They're like the
They're
sidewalk surrounding the
they're the
home.
door. He's everything inside.
You know, he the right. They're the the walkway. They lead up to the door.
they're the
They
light
led her.
sconches.
They
They're the
led her
light
to.
sconches, and he's everything else.
They led her to Jordan. They're the
They're the
walkway.
gate protecting the home.
Wait, wait, look. Wait, have y'all seen the like trailer for the Barbie movie? And it's like this joke Barbie and Ken, and it's just like Jordan is Barbie, and the rest of the bakers are and Ken. I
Mm-mm.
just, I just cannot. But thinking about the fact that she said this to her dad, I remember when I watched this live, and it made me think again about how trash both of their dads are. And yes, I know I'm saying this is the episode that Billy died, but let's not forget.
But let's not
Billy
what?
get no
But
love over
let's not
here.
forget that before he
Dead or
died, he was a
alive.
trash daddy.
Before he died, the day that he died, he essentially didn't tell his son,
Like she
right,
say,
that he
Billy get no love, even in
was.
death.
Listen, I have held my tongue a lot of the time for this man post death, posthumously.
On the pod.
But now I'm gonna tell it straight for the sake of the Jordayla
She said
breakdown.
she give it to you straight. Coming live from the
For my
podcast. Go
people,
ahead.
I will let you know my true thoughts.
Billy,
Go ahead.
Billy, you know, deciding to stay and coach at Crenshaw after Jordan had agreed to go back to GAU, and him not having a conversation with Jordan, and him doing this in response to, I think, in response to this not being a request from his family, knowing that his family was behind his decision to coach at GAU 100%, however, Grace and Spencer were not. Um, and so that being in this episode, as well as this idea of like Layla's dad being upset that Clay had changed the name and blah 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 blah. It was all just, I think, an interesting parallel for this episode. I don't think the writers are gonna go there, but that is something that, whether they want to admit or not, Billy is a trash dad. Billy is a trash dad. But you know what? Before we gotta thank him for this, we gotta say, everybody say thank you, Billy.
You need to say thank you.
Because what did Billy tell? The last words my dad said to me.
Oh
Tell
Lord,
Layla she officially
she got my approval. Like she was waiting for it. Nobody
it's
wait for your
so
approval, Billy.
I said my man's. She officially
Now you said like she was waiting for it.
right.
Not Carmen said Layla doesn't care about that.
She wasn't waiting for his approval. Like
Like,
what
oh,
you
thank
talking about?
goodness he
No,
said
she's
yes.
happy that she
No, that was her daddy more than her
when
daddy.
she was
She
when
happy that
she heard that
man.
in
She
the
happy
proposal,
that
she was
Jordan
just
happy. She
like,
don't care about that man approval.
Oh wait,
That
no,
was
she
her
cared.
man.
I
you're
think she cared.
bugging.
Yeah, she's happy because she see how happy it made Jordan. That's why
No,
she's happy.
I'm with
Did you
Kyle on
not
this
hear her
one. She,
talking
as much
about
as I
Billy and
don't
her
love
I
that
love you? Well,
man,
before she hit the I love you.
exactly,
Listen,
exactly.
bruh, if he didn't give it to her, that still was gonna be
I
her
mean, she still
man.
would have
So
said yes regardless, but like it made her happy knowing that
Yeah, but she
exactly,
was. This made her.
knowing
This
that
made
these
her
were some of his
settled
last
in her
words and they were
it
for
would have been
her.
like
exactly.
she would have been like, okay, yeah, who
Look,
cares what your
You're
dad said? What do
wild.
you say?
You're wild. What do you think? What do you want?
Period. Period.
don't pull that argument up right now.
Period.
Listen, all I will say is this: Jordan knows Layla. He has a Ladar, and he knew exactly the right way to start off that proposal. Right, the last thing my dad has said to me. Um. So anyway, he dies. Billy dies.
I said it.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Why do you say it like that? Oh, he dies.
Because he did. I'm just stating facts. It's
Okay,
not
go
shade.
ahead. Go ahead.
And then we get into the grief arcs and the grief episodes. Had to cut it right there, but stay tuned for the next part of our Jordayla season 5 breakdown, and thanks for listening.